Welcome to Ren Behind the Practice. I'm Sophie Campisi. I'm a holistic business strategist and startup expert, and I spend a lot of my time in conversation with practitioners, coaches, and healers about the behind the scenes of their businesses. What I started noticing is that some of the most honest, important conversations about building a practice were happening quietly, one-on-one, behind the scenes, and often in isolation. Most practitioners are incredibly skilled at the work they do with their clients, but very few of us were ever taught or trained in how to build a successful startup business. And suddenly we've been left to figure it out on our own. This podcast exists to bring those conversations forward, the dreams, the uncertainty, the highs and lows, the recalibrations, and the messy middle. My hope is that by normalizing these conversations, we can soften the stigma, feel less alone, and start closing the gaps together. Today's guest is Nichole Jones. Nichole is a mental health therapist and financial coach. She blends neuroscience, brainspotting, Ayurveda, and mindset work to help women move from fear and scarcity into grounded wealth and emotional freedom. Nichole, it is great to have you here. Thank you so much for showing up and having this conversation with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Sophie. I'm so happy to be here.
Before we look behind the scenes, can you share with us a little bit more about the work that you do?
Yeah, so I have been a private practice therapist for over a decade now. So I have a thriving mental health practice. And in the past couple of years, I have launched my Awaken Wealth course. And that is a course to help women feel more at ease around their money. So to heal their relationship with their money. And I got here because I was in all these coaching programs to help myself grow my business. And I would get a little ways and then I would fall back and I would kind of get a little ways and I'd fall back. And being a therapist, I'm a Brainspotting therapist. So Brainspotting is a brain body based intervention. I knew that so much of what was happening in my mind was based in the limbic brain and the emotional brain and trauma stored, what's happened to me, all stored in this part of my brain. And for some reason, I thought that when it came to money, that was like a separate situation. And it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. So one day, after being incredibly frustrated with just investing literally tens of thousands of dollars into coaching and doing all the mindset work and writing all the affirmations out, and just like my business was like up and then it was down. I would sign all these clients and then I wouldn't. And I found myself with like no coaching clients and like 4 therapy clients. And I was like, okay, what is going on? So I literally sat down in my bathroom. I'm like, okay, God, if this is what my money life is supposed to look like, so be it. Like I'm done trying to push, I'm done trying to hustle. But the thing with I kept being really anxious about money. So I found a brain spotter who did money work and I did 6 sessions with her. And everything dramatically shifted with my own anxiety around money, my own relationship with money, but I started making more and I started drawing more clients to me. And then I started helping other therapists that I was seeing in my practice grow and build their private practices. And then I had other people I was like helping them in their businesses. And I was like, okay, I think I'm onto something here. And what I was missing for so long was that deep unconscious work. Because for me, doing just basic mindset work was not enough. It just wasn't enough. I had too much stuff in my brain around money, around how I felt about myself, around how I saw the world, that I needed that deeper work. And it was then Awaken Wealth was just like this download to me. And I was like all these things I could teach my clients, all the things I've ever learned about money, all the things that helped me the most. And it just came rushing in. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. So that was 2 years ago this summer where I launched that. And in that program, I use Brainspotting. I use Ayurveda, which is the sister science of yoga, to help people also create balance in their system. Because when you're imbalanced in your body, you're also often imbalanced with money. So it's like I bring all of that in. And spirituality is a huge part of the work I do because it all started with surrender. It all just started with okay, God, I'm done. I'm done killing myself and I'm done investing tens of thousands of dollars in coaches and getting nowhere. So yeah, that's in a very brief nutshell where I'm at or how I've gotten here in my business. So it started with a bang and I had a bunch of people interested in clients and now it's sort of been a thing. It's just been a interesting journey because the bang did not stay. But the therapy clients rushing in still. So
It's so interesting. I was talking to someone about the bang and then the lull after the bang yesterday, which I am going to ask you about before I go into that more. I want to get some clarity on your business
yeah,
model. So essentially, right now, you kind of have parallel business models. You have your therapy practice that runs, I'm assuming people are paying insurance. So you're in like a classic, you're not.
I know I'm private pay. I've always been private pay.
Okay. So you're running your private, you're running your private practice with private pay. So clients
Mhm.
are paying you.
Yep.
Is the coaching still parallel then, or are you able to kind of like stack them and run one business model, or do you feel like you're running kind of like two parallel businesses?
It's kind of complicated because as a therapist and a coach, everything's kind of got to be separate, but a lot of everything overlaps. But I do have the people, pay me by session, and then I have my coaching clients who pay me their monthly fee or their monthly investment, whatever.
Even if you're not taking insurance,
Yeah,
if you're practicing as a therapist, you still have to be okay.
everything's got to be separate.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, that totally makes sense because I talk to a ton of therapists, coaches, or former therapists who are trying to come fully into coaching, to come out of the old model, some that are doing both, some that are transitioned fully, some that have transitioned and then popped back in because the coaching side was so hard on entrepreneurship and they had such a hard time financially sustaining that they popped back in. It's really interesting. And obviously, it's not surprising at all. That's part of what's going on because if we just look at the pattern also for humans and consumers and what are they looking for, like it's a similar thing. It's like, you know, yeah, anyway, you get it. The big bang and then the not bang and the not
The
bang
bang and then
after. The bang. This is so common. I was talking to someone yesterday about this. Actually, she's a mindset coach, and I was asking her about her clients. Who does she end up working with? It's a lot of people that had a lot of success and then all of a sudden are not. And my lens, of course, is all of the technical business side. And that is a very, very, very common and predictable thing. And you've probably heard the phrase like early adopters. The
Mhm.
early adopters come in and it's like, oh, yeah, this is great. It gets that early confidence, that early momentum. But once you hit the end of early adopters, um, the old school business world called it crossing the chasm.
Mm.
It's you get that early adopters and then you hit this thing that's where that 95% failure rate
Mhm.
comes is in what used to be or people still call it crossing the chasm. That's that dip after you hit the early adopters. But because again a lot of people don't know this, they don't have the language for this, it can be so I mean there's so many things. There's so many ways to take this, but it can be just first and foremost very confusing. And on the mindset side, also just like it's a mind F. It's a very, 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 it's a hard thing to be navigating.
Yeah, it does require a lot of dedication and perseverance. Like I know I deeply believe in the work that I'm doing with women around money. And I'm but it's sometimes it's so easy it would be easy to just be like, you know what, I'm a great therapist. I'm great at what I do. Like I have a busy practice, like whatever. Like I'll just throw this in, whatever. I'll just do financial therapy and it'll just be part of the deal. But it really, and then I catch myself going, yeah, I don't really know that we need to listen to that. But I've done enough work to know that's my default is to be like, oh, done. It was so
So
funny that happened
interesting.
this week, actually. I was like, no one wants to buy this. No one wants this. And then literally someone I had done a consult with like 2 months ago popped onto my schedule. It's like, okay.
It is so interesting. And I'm so happy to be having this conversation with you because you are unique compared to a lot of people that I talk to, in that you have a healthy stream of income coming from a different business model. Though, of course, obviously that's the caveat because you still feel that pull, that devoted pull to this thing. Building mission driven businesses. Do you have children? You do have children,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It's like being pregnant. The best metaphor I have for it, there is no option really for us not to do it. It's
Mhm.
like this thing wants to come through and out of us. And we don't have that luxury of kind of everywhere else in the business world of like, oh, this one's not working. Let me just go try this other one. When we are faced with that, there is not this, oh, this one didn't work. Let me just go try something else. There is no way for the thing that's in us to go away. Of course, We might need a reprieve. We might need to get a second job or just take a break because the entrepreneurship and the fact that the business isn't working takes such a toll on us. But there is no, like, it will just go away. Just like, this thing is coming through, like being in birth, the thing is coming through. There is no option for it to just go away. And it's one of the things that comes up a lot on this podcast, a big pattern of the double-edged sword the of building something mission driven, the double-edged sword of finding alignment with something that feels like your North Star, your life's work, your Dharma. It's amazing, but also it's deeply painful and deeply personal if the business side doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is all why I'm doing what I do now. And what I ended up learning and discovered is how to build businesses without ever having to cross that chasm. That 95% plus failure rate is the same failure rate that we have in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
Reason it doesn't always look like it is because we fight tooth and nail because of everything that we just talked about. The devotion to our life's work, our Dharma, our North Star, whatever we want to call it, has us go above and beyond and kick and scream and fight for something. But it's not without a cost, it's taking a toll. And we see that happening on kind of a big scale.
Yeah. Especially, how long does an elephant gestate? Isn't it like years?
I think 2 years. I think.
Yes. I'm at 2 years. So it's so funny because it's like, oh, just imagine being pregnant for 2 years, right? Like, oh my God, so crazy.
That's a great metaphor because imagine being pregnant for 2 years, but the more realistic timeline for a lot of people in our industry is longer than that. 5 years, 7 years, 8 years. And like you saw, and like I know the pattern. Again, it's like what I teach people how to not go into that, but it's like change everything and like put out something new and then you'll get a little bit of early adopters. And it's like, you'll get a couple of clients or you'll get a little bit of momentum, but it will not sustain. And then it's like, okay, change everything again, change the offer, change this, get a little bit and then not get. It's exhausting. It's just it takes a toll. There's a big cost to that.
Yeah.
When you look ahead to the next 6 to 12 months, what goals do you have now? And you can talk about your therapy, but if the more natural thing is really to focus on like what are you going to do with the coaching thing, happy for you to just focus on one of those.
Yeah. I mean, I would really love to have a group program. I know a lot of people talk about that, but I feel like when it comes to money, like shining a light on what's happening in your money life in front of other people who can hold you and be like, yeah, oh my God, I feel the same way. I'm terrified of looking at my bank account and cheering you on. Like, you can do this, and having that group holding just to diffuse the shame that we have around money feels really important to me. So I mean, I love the one-to-one work, but I also would like to have groups of women coming together to support one another and diffuse our shame around money with one another because women are going to be holding, I don't remember the number, the billions. We are going to be holding so much of the world's wealth by 2030. I can't remember the number, but it's like we need to hold each other in this because our default with money is that it's so rooted in shame and I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to manage it. I'm just going to defer to a man. I'm like just going to cut back on my Lulus and my lattes. I'm going to and we need to lift each other up because we are taking over more and more of the world's wealth. So we need to like move forward. So that's sort of my vision for the next probably like year. Like I think my first goal is to have a small in-person group with a local financial planner advisor. And we're working on getting a smaller 6-week group and then a bigger like online, longer, more intensive program where we do Ayurveda and we do Brainspotting virtually and like just come together as a group.
When you think about that goal of the group program and then, what is underneath that, more consistent clients and flow and really getting that coaching side to work, what do you think it's going to take to get there where you're really finding that consistent momentum and flow? Do you feel like you're guessing or you feel like you have a pretty good idea of what it's going to take to get there?
Am I guessing in some parts? Probably. Am I also hearing what other coaches have, other containers I'm in, are what they're telling me? A little bit. Am I also really leaning into surrender and divine? A lot, yes. So it's like a little bit of all of it. The thing is so my like default brain goes to like I need a bigger email list. I need a bigger following on Instagram. I need more people to draw to like that want this work. And I don't know if that's actually that, and I need a wait list. That's one of my coaches has always been like, you need a wait list and then you can start your group thing. And I'm like, I don't know, is that true? I don't know if that's necessarily true. So in a way, I'm kind of like guessing because I'm like straddling these two worlds of having the divine kind of be a big leader in my business and then the like more masculine based coaching world telling me these are the things I need. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, because everyone has the same thing at play. There's such a, yes, thank you for articulating that. It does make sense. And it is one of the biggest breakdowns in our world and our industry right now. And I'll just quickly say my why, my mission, why I'm passionate about doing this, although sometimes it feels heavy for me. It meaning there's so much breakdown on the business side in our industry. That can feel really heavy to me at times. But what keeps me going is because these businesses don't work. If we can't get these businesses to work, there is a huge cost to the rest of the world, a huge cost to the rest of the world. And so, yeah, I mean, one of the things contributing to that, similar to what you say, is that there's so much, people say this all the time. There's just so much noise, similar to what you said. I don't know what to listen to. Everyone's giving me a different advice, try this tactic. So a lot of people are just feeling overwhelmed with random, like just not knowing. And I was this for so long. I had no problem putting a stake in the ground. I had no problem investing money that often I didn't have to be investing into my business. I had no problem making decisions. What was eventually took the toll on me was that I don't know if this is the right decision to make. That is what was so hard for me before. Obviously, now I do what I do because the heaviness of that was so frustrating because I will put the work in, I will do the work, I will put the money that I need to put. But how do I know if this is the right thing after investing in so many different things and them not working? That is what became the thing that started really taking me down because then I was like, it's not just I'm second guessing myself. It's not. It's genuinely like, well, I've already invested way more tens of thousands of dollars that I didn't have to invest in this and it didn't work. So now I'm still standing here confidently. I'm still fighting for this. I still know I'm meant to be doing this work. But how do I know what is the thing? Is that true? You said, a few things like, is that true? Is it not true? I don't know. I wish that there was, for me, what I kept saying is I wish there was ultimately what I've found and now show people, but I always felt like I wish there was someone that could help me see the bigger picture of business building. What is the sequence? What are the steps that I need to be taking? Because I will show up and do the work, but I'm so confused because everyone's saying do it a different way. And I've tried many of them and none of them worked. So now it's like, ugh, yeah, I mean, what you said made total sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of opinions. It's like, do Instagram, the ads, or do this, do like your funnel and like all the things. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing this and I've done this. And I'm like you, like I will invest all day. Like I have invested, I've done the things and doing my money work, it really, really helped a ton. But, and I know I feel like I'm over that like hump of like healing the stuff that was within me that was holding me back to like take the next step. But I kind of feel like I call it a little bit of coach trauma. Like I feel like I've been like burned and I'm just like, oh, I kind of don't know because I've tried all these different things and no one's really gotten me where I want to be. And I'm not, I'm like, I will take action and I will invest, but I'm tired of investing in the wrong stuff.
1,000% coach trauma. I mean, this comes up, this pattern, and it's a real shadow side. It comes up over and over and over again when I talk to people. There's so much broken trust. There has so much people feeling burned. I mean, all the things that you just said from investing in things not working. And that was something for me now sitting in the seat that I sit in that adds to that heaviness for me when I'm navigating these spaces. Because when I chose to commit to essentially, pivoting from me running my practice and building my own personal practice as a healer and a coach and a practitioner to doing this side, it wasn't something that I thought about right away. And then getting into it and having the conversations. Obviously, this podcast is a great way to connect the dots and see the patterns. It comes up so much of how many people, I've even had people say to me straight up, everything that you're doing sounds so great, but I've invested in so many coaches. I'm just scared to do another one. So you should try to find people that haven't invested already, because you're finding the people that have invested so many times and now they're scared to invest again. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that it sucks. There's so much broken trust and people have felt so burned. And
Yeah, especially when you hear like, I'm gonna have you making having 20K months in like 3 months, you're gonna be making 20K a month or whatever. And you're like, okay, great. Or, $100,000 months or whatever they tell you. And then you're like, and that's like, I could go all like, then it just creates shame and what's wrong with me and blah, 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 all the stuff. When there's a few handful of people that they pick that are doing amazing, like doing that or have done that, but they're really probably a lower percentage of versus the rest of us who are just kind of like, something's wrong.
yes, this is like one of the layers of this like perfect storm that we're dealing with. Perfect storm of like what's contributing to us all feeling like it's us. And that is something that someone told me this on this podcast, that they've heard stories of coaches putting money in other coaches' business accounts so that they can take the screenshot to prove what they're making a month. Okay, so just like let me add that layer of like, maybe it's working for some people, but like maybe it's not even, right? Of course, there's some people that are making that much money, sure. Tony Robbins, right? But like, yeah, but let's even think about that reality. It's so foreign to us. And I think this is why those of us who I talk to who are on this podcast that are in this community get trapped by this, because we have integrity, we walk the walk. So it is so easy for us to project. So when we see someone say something, we think they're being how we would be about it. But
Right.
it's so hard for us to see some of those things. When someone told me that, I was like, jaw dropped to the floor. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
And it's classic like empath narcissist. Like, why do
totally.
the empaths get, it's because like I'm someone that got cheated on so many times in my early relationships. Like that was one of my patterns, like being in toxic relationships. It was so easy to cheat on me because I never assumed someone was cheating on me. They always say like the cheaters are the ones that are so
Mhm.
suspicious. I was never suspicious because like I'm just projecting my worldview onto relationships. I'm not going to be thinking that someone's like lying or sneaking or whatever, and I think that's part of why those things actually take a big toll on us, because like we're walking around the world with our integrity and with our lens thinking like, wow, like, yeah, people are, what am I doing wrong? Because if everyone else, but like the reality is, yeah, maybe it's working for some people, but what if it's not even? What if it is a lot of smoke and mirrors?
Oh, I think it is. And I also don't want to be associated with those people because of my integrity. I don't want people to think I'm like them who are just trying to make the sale so they can take a screenshot of their month that they had or whatever. Because I genuinely really want women to find their own way with money, however that looks, which for some women it's going to be millions. And some people it's just going to be like, I'm just chilling with a little bit in my bank account and I'm super calm and I know everything's fine. But I'm like, so I don't want to ever be associated with the BS that's out there because it feels so out of alignment.
It is. Yeah. I appreciate you saying that, because that is something also that, even on the business model side, and something else that's falling flat for people is there is no one size fits all business model, similar to what you just said. There is no one size fits all perfect amount of income. There is no one size fits all. And part of where also a lot of the coaching advice is falling short out there is like, you need this offer and then this one and then this high ticket offer. And like, this is, if you build it like this, it's going to work.
Yep.
Same thing. It might work for a fraction of people who just happen to be like, that was always going to be the business model is going to work for them. What about everyone else that goes through that and completely flops and then is like, gosh, it must just be me?
Yeah. So much shame. So much shame.
So much internalized guilt and shame. I think I even say that in the intro. And it's like, Yeah, totally. It's heavy. Again, like I appreciate these conversations coming up and it's real, it's heavy. That phrase perfect storm, it comes up a lot. It's like we've landed in this perfect storm of, you know, DIY everything. And this is something I want to add to this conversation. What's not talked about nearly enough is how entrepreneurship, and we're not normal entrepreneurs. You and I kind of talked a little bit. We fall into this really specific category. We're not small business entrepreneurs that have a clear set business model to run, like a gas station or a hair nail salon. How many nail salons do you see? And they're all doing fine because it works. It's a proven business model. We actually fall into this unique category of entrepreneurship. It is one of the hardest things to do. Like it is actually one of the hardest things you could possibly do. But there is so much out there online that has this whole like DIY, anyone can do it and it's fine. And like, yes, sure, maybe anyone can do it. But what's missing the mark is how what's getting put across is, you should be able to do it in 7 days. And if you're not doing it in 7 days, something's wrong. That is absolutely not true. What else has felt heavier than it should or harder than you would thought it would be when you came into this exploring the kind of coaching lane, that kind of like that is like real startup entrepreneurship? Is there anything else that's felt heavier than it should or harder?
Within that realm of this coaching thing, I think, oh boy, what has been harder? It's what I was thinking about when you were talking about how we're different than like a ice cream shop or hair salon or something. It's just like we have this vision for something that's it's intangible. So it's like I can see that you will feel so much better with your money, but people don't always get why that's helpful. It's like, I want to be worried about my money because what if I'm not worried about my money? Then I'm not going to make money or I'm not going to have money or I'm going to spend all my money or I'm going to lose all my money or like, so there's like this, it's such an interesting space to be in because the work I do is so important and helpful. Yet there's this like, but I don't want to spend my money to have you help me with my money because how's that going to help me in the long run? You know what I mean? So it's like sort of investing in this intangible thing versus like I'm going to walk in and get an ice cream cone or I'm going to get my hair colored or whatever it is, my nails done. It's like I feel like for me it's explaining how this is going to change your life. And it's never about the money. Like it's about so much more than the money. Like we rarely even talk about the money. We do talk about the money, but it always goes to all sorts of different places.
Absolutely. It's, we talked about this briefly before we started recording, but how in my professional path, what got me into doing business building and showing people how to navigate the process of building a business in the startup phase was my aha of starting to deep dive into the tech founder world. And part of what you just said is part of why we as holistic practitioners, coaches, healers have more in common with tech founders than an ice cream shop owner, or even a yoga studio owner, because that is part of the thing. It's like, how do you convey something that's intangible? Right. And that's part of why I learned so much from that world that applied to our world. Does 100% it all track? No. I had to go study the stuff and translate it for our world and for, the people in our world. But that's part of one of those things because so many people treat us like small business owners that we should just be able to start selling something right away or growing right away. It's like telling someone to accelerate something before they have the thing to accelerate. It's like pushing the gas pedal on the car before there's an engine in it, and this is part of one of those things. It's like the intangible aspect makes our building process different. It makes our how to build the vehicle around it, right? How to build that business around the work that we do is very different. It's a different process. And it's part of why we see fitness coaches being one of the easiest ones, the ones that have, right? Because you can show before and after pictures.
Yeah. I had a coach tell me when I was first launching this, she's like, you have to tell people they'll make more money. I'm like, I can't. Yeah, yes, that's happened. Yes, I've made more money, but that's not what I'm trying to do. Do I want that? Absolutely. And so I tried that for a while and it felt so out of alignment. And I'm sure people just smelled that. Like, that's like, ooh, stench. Like, what is she? She's trying to sell me something. And, talking about that, being out of integrity with like in the coaching world, like, that's the thing. Everyone's like, you'll make more money, work with me in 20K weeks or whatever. And I just was like, when I dropped that, it was like such a relief. But it was like, she was like, this is a tangible thing. But yes, people, it's a happy ripple that you'll likely make more money, but that's not, I'm selling like inner peace in a way, inner just trusting to the divine and trusting that life is unfolding and like you can be calm no matter the number in your bank account. Like that's what I want. And interestingly, that's when things start to happen. But I could not sell. And this like just even feels vulnerable to say that. Like I can't sell that. I can't. I don't want to.
I appreciate you so much saying this and putting language to this because that is a perfect example of how having high integrity can actually make business building harder.
Yes, it totally does.
It does. And it's like, it's again, one of those things why these businesses working are more important maybe than any other businesses working, right? Because these are people that are really walking the walk. They're about it. Again, high integrity. They care about the quality of the work. They care about so many other things, almost to a fault before the money piece, right? We need to fix that. We need to come more into alignment of like, hey, let's also care about the money and make sure that you're making money so you can pay your bills so we can come
Yeah,
out of, the starving artist archetype and the,
right,
starving healer archetype. But
right.
what you're saying is a perfect example of why it can make it even harder for us to build businesses because a lot of what out there works is clickbaity, it's salesy. It's one of the distinctions that I like to work with is sales versus enrollment, which is like sales, you're going to sell no matter what, regardless of whether you think this is going to help the person or not. All you care about is selling. Enrollment, it's mutual. It's, hey, I want to find out about you. I want to genuinely connect with you, hear about your concerns, hear about what you need, see if I can address those. Like, is there an opportunity for me to actually address your concerns? And we just generally aren't taught how to build in connection. That's one of the main phrases for how I tell people the work that I do. I show you how to build in connection because so much of what is out there is just one-sided business building in isolation and then selling, putting it out there. It's like less of a concern for who's on the other side. For us, people like us, it doesn't work for all the things we just said, but right, we're not just intuitive, we're empathic, we're energetics. This comes up a lot and we kind of laugh about this on the podcast when this comes up, but it's like we can also like hear people's thoughts. Like those things matter to us. It affects us. Thinking about other people, it's not just like caring about them, but it's like it's actually stuff that we feel in our bodies. We feel it in our nervous system. So it's not even just it's out of alignment with my nervous system, but we're also so in tune with the other side, almost to
Mhm.
a fault, to where we're
Yeah,
so concerned about how what we put out is going to be received, not because we're self-conscious, not because we're some of those things, but like we're genuinely just highly empathic, highly energetic. It's the way we move in the world. And like these things affect us, they're real for us. And when it comes to business building, it's also going to be real for us. We don't get to not be who we be just because now all of a sudden we're building a business or going into entrepreneurship. And it's one of the things that, when I talk to people, it's very relevant how much it affects people that they often feel like a way to describe this is like they're not able to fully, like a split personality almost. To run the business, they have to be a little bit different than who they are when they're with their clients or just in real life. Not only is it uncomfortable for us, but it causes a lot of harm to us. It contributes to that burnout and some of the things that we see because that incongruence
right.
affects us deeply.
Yeah, it creates so much tension in our system. So much tension. So I think an entrepreneurship is an opportunity to expand who we are and to tap into our gifts and everything. Like it's like our higher self to be with that and like bloom into that versus like I'm gonna be this over here and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be this in my room with the clients.
If you could wave a magic wand and have one thing solved or fixed for you in your building process with your coaching, what would it be?
I mean, I think the first thing that comes to my brain is marketing. And I don't even know if, yeah, like yeah, if I could just have someone marketing, maybe an assistant. I don't know. I'm so busy. It's like, but yeah, I mean, because I'm like, am I saying the right words? Am I conveying what I want to convey? Because I know there's people out, I mean, I know there are people out there who, when they hear what I had to say, are like, yes, I want that. And maybe it's even the magic wand would just give me a big, huge dose of patience and strength.
Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up today?
No, I don't think so. This has been such a wonderful conversation. It was so fun. So thank you. Thank you for this. And thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for joining me today to have this conversation. And for those of you who are listening, if any part of this resonated, you're in the right place, please reach out. I want to hear from you. And if you want to reach Nichole directly, the links to her website and her Instagram profile are in the show notes. Thank you again, Nichole. And to everyone else, thank you for listening. And we'll see you for the next episode of Ren Behind the Practice.